you have heard, I'm thinking, unless maybe you don't read a paper and don't listen to the news at all, in Iowa about Iowa core curriculum. Iowa has not had state standards until the last few years. We were the only state in the nation that didn't have them. Didn't mean we were poor achieving, but we didn't have state standards. And about a year and a half ago, there was lots of conversation by Iowa Association of School Boards with legislators about the fact that one of the things that's happening in schools in Iowa is the standards were close, but they weren't quite the same. So what an 11th grader in Exira might be expected to do versus an 11th grader in Atumwa versus an 11th grader in esccac County in English language arts might be somewhat similar, but it might be a little bit out of whack and could be quite different. And it's a little difficult then to look at the assessments that we use and think that we're all taking the same state test, ITBS and ITED, but we have all these different standards for reading, math, science, social studies, and English language arts and reading. So Iowa Association of School Boards really worked hard at helping the legislature understand that it might be of more benefit to a state to have state standards than not to have them. And we're a local control state when it comes to schools. And the big issue with legislators was, but we want schools to have local control. Schools were saying, why don't you give us some general standards and let us work with those so that we were more alike. So Iowa core curriculum came about. And right now we have a curriculum, a set of pretty broad standards in reading, which includes English language arts, science, social studies, and math. And then what was added to that was something called 21st century skills. And that's financial literacy and health literacy, employability, technological literacy. And there's a set of more real world, everyday, in some cases you might call them soft skills that schools are not organized in any way, shape, or form, in any kind of manner, so that we know starting in kindergarten through going through 12th grade, we teach financial literacy. Okay, don't have it. We teach math, but do we teach financial literacy in some scope and sequence, some real concerted effort so that we know all the way along the way what's being taught related to financial literacy or employability? You're thinking, kindergarten, first grade, what would we do related to employability? Well, there are skills in interpersonal relationships and in communication that are vital to people in their daily lives, and that starts in kindergarten. It starts in preschool, in kindergarten, and first grade. How do you work in a group? How do you work on a project together, just a pair of you? How do you communicate with each other? How do you problem solve? And really, you can devise a curriculum that's K through 12 that really builds every year on what those skills are. And employers, increasingly in business and industry, are saying that students lack a lot of those skills. Now, at school, we joke around about that would be right. We need one more thing that we need to teach at school that maybe isn't always being taught at home. And we kind of joke about that, but yet we'll assume that responsibility. So in Iowa right now, Iowa core curriculum must begin to be implemented in 2012 in the high school, and 21st century skills in 2014. Well, that's a long time away, and a lot of kids get through the school system while this is all happening. So our plan in our district is to move that along a little bit faster, and we aren't just going to do high school and then add K-8. When we begin to implement, we'll do K-12. Because you can hardly do 9-12 without knowing where K-8 is going to be in front of that. One of the places that we're spending a lot of time thinking, one of the things we're spending a lot of time thinking about and looking at is what in educational terms is called the global achievement gap, the gap between where our students achieve and where students in other countries achieve. And again, you probably hear things about we don't always achieve so well. And to employers, business and industry, it's critical that students leave high school with certain sets of skills, but better yet, that they're prepared to go to at least community college. And if you've listened to the last maybe 6 or 7 months, the governor has talked a lot about his goal, if he were to have one in education in Iowa, would be that every student would have 2 years of post-secondary education. That they're prepared when they come out of high school, that they can go through a 2-year community college program. And that's the kind of educated workforce the state of Iowa needs to be globally competitive. So as we think and talk about this, we're trying to help our staff make this connection between what they're preparing kids for today versus if you're like me and have been doing this for 35 years or more, what we used to see the reason or what we were preparing kids for. So I've got something I'm going to show you. It's a pretty short video clip from YouTube, but it's put together by students, and it's from their perspective just on the topic of technology in school, what they would like to see happen. And these are not esccac students, and you would recognize any of them. So don't think when you're looking here that you don't know any esccac kids. They're not esccac kids. And sometimes schools say that you shouldn't have access to YouTube at school, but we're going to show you this. My tech skills.